friends. Welcome to the Creative Impact Podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Caldwell, and I'm so happy you're here. Each episode, I take some time to chat with fellow artists about life, faith, and the impact of the arts. Well, Jamie, I am so excited to have you on the podcast today. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for inviting me. I'm happy to be here.
Yes, I feel like this is such a gift to get to connect with you and catch up since it's been probably a while. I'm trying to think
I graduated, 2010?
Yeah, so like 15 years?
15 years, yeah. That
That is
quickly.
wild. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Yeah, 15 years.
First off, yeah, just as everyone is probably aware by now, but I'm so excited to have you as part of the Belhaven Dance Alumni series since
Oh,
we're
this is so
celebrating 30
cool.
years.
Yeah.
Ah,
Yes, I wanted, last year was like the reunion, right? That everyone went to
yes,
and took class together. Um,
right.
but yeah, I was out of commission, so I didn't get to
Gotcha.
go. Yeah.
Oh, well, we missed you, but maybe they'll do another one sometime. That would be really fun.
I'm always curious about going back just to visit, not necessarily
Yes.
just to see how things have changed, I think. The
Mm-hmm.
last time I was there was like 2013,
Okay.
maybe.
Yeah, so I'm
Um,
sure a lot has probably
I-
changed since
it
then.
was, a lot has changed then
Yeah,
when I was
even in a
there.
few years. Yeah.
Yeah, just the infrastructure. I think there was like a new building or they were building
Mm-hmm.
something. It was just a lot of change. It's like, oh wow. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty crazy when, yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
went back for that event and there were multiple new buildings and I'm like, it's just
Like,
so
first of
different.
all, I did not realize you could put more buildings on this campus.
Right. Exactly. Like, where are you gonna put them?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
They did a good job with it, but I do still
Mm-hmm.
like the places where there's more open space. Like
Yeah.
the area by the fountain is still the
Mm-hmm.
same. I'm like, I
Okay,
like
yeah.
that.
Yeah, or
Yeah.
improv jam area.
Yes, the improv jam
Yeah.
area. Oh, okay. And then the area behind Bitsy Irby, the dance building or art building,
Mm-hmm.
is now a parking lot where it used to just be the grass.
Grass and stuff.
Mm-hmm. There's some grass still, but
So there was a parking lot by the boys'
yes.
dorms as
Mm-hmm.
well.
Yeah.
Wow. 15
Anyway,
years is a long time.
it's a long time, and so
Yeah.
much I'm sure has happened since then. So I'm really excited to
Hmm.
catch up and hear about your journey.
Yeah.
But maybe as we start, do you just want to briefly introduce yourself for our listeners or viewers and just share kind of where you are currently living, that kind of thing?
Hmm. Yeah, so hi everyone. My name is Jamie J. Thompson, and I'm an alumni now from Belhaven University, class of 2010,
Whoop, whoop.
and I am currently living in New York City.
Yes.
Um, yeah, I've been living in New York since the end of 2018. So what's that, 7 years now?
Yeah. So
Going
that's a
on 7 years. Yeah,
pretty good amount of time
a good
that you've
chunk.
been there
Yeah.
now. Yes.
Hmm. Yeah.
Yeah. What would you say is your favorite thing about New York City? Or maybe
Um,
favorite and then least favorite.
okay. I definitely have a few least favorites, but
Yes.
my favorite thing is access,
Mm.
right? And so if you want to see a fabulous dance show, a fabulous play, a fabulous musical, or the best orchestra, whatever you want, the museum, basically for our industry, it has access to all of that
Mm.
at a high quality level. And I
Yes.
think also access for me coming from the Caribbean, having access to multicultural spaces. I think every
Yes.
neighborhood is multicultural. You might
Mm-hmm.
find some areas have a predominant culture settled in that area, but in general, you also have access to that diverse space. My
Yes.
least favorite is their ability to keep it clean. Oh my goodness. You are
Yes.
contending with the rats there. They are humans here. You have to say excuse me when you see them
Yes.
on the platforms.
Yes.
I saw this lady almost jumped onto the platform because she was so scared a rat run over her foot. And I saw the rat running, but I couldn't speak quick enough to tell her, watch out. She
Right.
saw it. She freaked out. I was like, oh my gosh. I'm so sorry. I was trying to tell you. But, so it's just sanity. I mean, it's sanitation. I think it's difficult though.
Yeah,
Um,
with that many people
with
and
that many people,
yeah.
and then the culture, other countries do better. Like you sure really, I think someone said to me, in China or Hong Kong, somewhere that
Hmm.
you have to walk with your stuff in your hand, like there's no garbage.
Okay.
I can't remember exactly what city they were talking about, but like you don't, there's no litter anywhere. But
Hmm.
that also comes with a particular culture of a people, right?
True,
You can't.
true.
Good luck trying to do that here. Like that's not gonna happen. So, some places try. Sometimes you see them cleaning more often, but just the cleanliness of it, I think, is my least favorite.
That makes
I
sense.
prefer cleanliness.
Hmm. I
Yes,
could understand that.
yes.
It was funny. I took a group of students to New York City in 2020, just before everything shut down.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah, but it was kind of right before everyone really started freaking out. So,
Yeah.
it was still okay. Broadway was still open and all of that. But I remember, we saw a rat in the subway. And I was like, look,
No.
a New York City subway rat. And they were like,
Yeah.
ooh, yeah. I just tried to
You
make it like part of the experience.
cool. Yes. Yes. You're lucky the whole family didn't show up.
Right, right. Yeah. So I guess
Yes.
if you're living there, it's less rose-colored glasses for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, absolutely. But especially but I think one of the things that comes with living here is that your life also speeds up. And so if you have a change of pace in your personal life or schedule in some way, then the things that you might not appreciate might stand out to you because you have time to see them or to be bothered by them.
Right.
But if you're busy and I have to go to show and I have to go teach and I'm whatever, it doesn't,
Right.
none of that stuff matters really. Once you kind
Hmm.
of fit into the pace,
Right.
some of those things kind of fade into the background. So I do think that that's an advantage. Like once your life begins to pick up and you design your life here, speed
Mm.
is a part of
Yes.
that. And once you get into that energy, it's like okay, just move out the way.
Right.
Yeah,
Makes
yeah,
sense. That makes sense.
yes.
Yes. So maybe if you could just take us back to the beginning of your dance and art journey. So
Uh-huh.
back into kind of your formative years growing up,
Hmm.
was there anything that sort of sparked that passion in you for dance?
I would have to blame my family because I think they taught me how to dance when I was a kid. And so, I was born and raised in Belize. And so
Yes.
culture, music and dance, and it's just so woven into our culture. So it's not like
Right.
my love of dance can actually start in the home or in the family space or in the school space, and not necessarily in a dance studio space.
That makes sense. Yes.
So that for me, that's where it came from. It came from just the rites and passages of our culture. And as I grew older, I wanted to participate more formally. So if there's a festival of the arts for the schools, and I wanted to be involved. If there's a dance club in school, I wanted to be involved. And my parents tried so hard to keep me away from dancing, just because in our culture, it wasn't economically viable, right? And so
Mm,
in your formative years, you were being groomed for STEM, right? Not
right.
now, no, you have STEAM, but
Right. At the
for
time, STEM.
most
Yeah.
right at the time STEM. So anything that's academically inclined, or if you're athletic, then your
Hmm.
extracurriculars would be openly supported. But if you were creative and artsy, especially for a guy, that was a little bit challenging, where they're like, no, you
Hmm.
need to focus on school. And so as I got older, I had more freedom. And so I didn't really go to like a formal class until I was like maybe 15, 16.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I took my first formal class around that age. Um, and then 3 years later, I showed up at Belhaven. Um,
Yeah.
Yeah.
How did
So
that
it,
connection happen?
so in Belize at the time, they had these missionaries. You know, we're familiar with YWAM, right? The
Yes, yes.
youth with a mission. And I think they
Mm-hmm.
came to Belize through them, I believe, and their mission was arts.
Oh,
So they
okay.
music and dance. And so they opened a school called the Dramatic Forces
Mm-hmm.
School for the Arts. And so I met one of those dancers like in junior college because they were quite a ways away from where I lived. They were at least what 60 plus miles away
Wow.
from where I lived. It was a different part of the country. And so I met one of the other dancers and she convinced me to go with her. Santhea, who you know, as well. So
Yes.
I met her in junior college and she was the one that convinced me, come to us, you could stay with me and come to class. And so
Yeah.
I went with her to go visit where she lives and the studio that she grew up in. Because I was with the national company, which was modern based. The modern was Cuban modern.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and so I had a stronger folkloric and modern background.
Mm-hmm.
I also used to do like hip hop in a little dance group in the community, and stuff like
Love
that.
it.
And so I met those people brought Steve Rooks to Belize.
Ooh, yes. Love Steve Rooks.
Yes, we all love Steve Brooks. And he was the
Yeah.
one that saw me. He did a master class in the city, and I was in his class. Pardon me. And he's like, "We got to get you to something." And so
Yeah.
after that, I went to Houston. My first time in the States was to Houston.
Oh,
To a
awesome.
day, I went to a Adeum.
Hey. Very
Yeah,
cool.
I went to a Adeum summer of 2006.
Okay.
Who was the faculty at Adeum for the summer? The Belhaven Dance faculty. All of them were there. Mr. Wynn, Mrs. Wynn, Miss Newland was there, Miss
Mm-hmm.
Morton was there, Miss Tucker was there. Everyone
Oh,
was
wow.
there.
It literally
Basically,
was
that's
like the whole
literally
faculty.
everybody, right? Everyone was. I think,
Pretty
I
much.
think, I think Betsy was there as well. I
Okay.
feel like I can remember her from there. Maybe I'm just being creative, but I think
Right.
because I felt like I had a class with her there.
Okay.
Well, maybe I'm wrong, but most of them were there, and so the people from Belize called ahead to speak to Miss Newland and Mr. Wynn, saying, "Hey, one of my boys are coming, and
Hmm.
take a look at him, see what we can do." And so one time, I don't know if have you been to Adayam?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
we are shuttling back from the studio to the hotel.
Uh-huh.
Miss Newland was driving the bus, and she's like, "Are you Jamie?" I'm like, "Yes." He's like, "Can you stay back? I need to speak to you." And I'm like, "Oh boy, what did I do?"
Oh, yeah.
Um, and she said, "A little birdie told me that you might be interested in studying dance." And I was like, "Who was the bird?" She's like,
Mm-hmm.
"Don't." She's like, "Don't worry about that." She's like, "Are you interested? We can look at you tomorrow in your classes, and then we'll have a chat afterwards." So the next day, they were in, you have the little windows, and the next
Yes.
day, I think one of the classes was like Miss Tucker's class. So I had her ballet class, and then I had like an Afro-Brazilian class, and then I had a modern class. I
Mm-hmm.
forgot with who. So they watched me in all those classes, and then went at the end of the day before we went back to the hotel. They're like, "Okay, we watched you, and we think you're very talented, and we're wondering, if you would like a tuition waiver." I'm like, "What is that?"
Yeah. Ooh.
And they're like,
Like
"Well,
they.
it's a scholarship. You will still have to pay for room and board, but if you want, you could cover that for you." I'm like, "Oh, absolutely." It's like, he
Mm-hmm.
said, "Can you, do you know how you're going to cover room and board?" I said, "No, but I'll figure it out."
Yes.
And so that night, that very night, Mr. and Mrs. Wynn helped me to apply online, to go through like the official
Yes.
process. And
Mm-hmm.
then I went back home that summer. I got into, that was like July, August maybe,
Mm-hmm.
because I remember I had a birthday coming up as well. And then I made things change my life around, raised the money to start, and I started Belhaven. Um, I came back to the States in January of 2007. So I
Okay.
started that spring of 2007.
2007.
Um, yeah, and that's how I ended up there. Just
Wow.
connections, people calling, you know,
Mm-hmm.
um, which I'm still in touch with all these people.
That's great.
Yeah, I'm eternally grateful for those connections.
But just such beautiful like mentors and connections.
Yeah, from what I remember, they took that very seriously,
Mm-hmm.
which is something that I as a teacher now, I take very seriously. Um, and I've in other spaces that I've been in, I have also seen what it's like for people to not take that seriously, which kind of created this greater appreciation for timing and when our paths crossed, you know.
Yes.
I had it kind of instilled a greater appreciation for what my journey was at that
Yes.
time with those particular people because that is not normal. You know,
Right.
that level of commitment and investment, they did not have to do any of what they did. And
Mm-hmm.
even as a student, they didn't have to look after me. And I would say us because everyone had, I
Yes.
believe, had the same investment.
Right. I definitely experienced that as well,
Yeah, yeah,
for sure.
it was tangible, and they did it as if that's what they were born to do, you know.
Yeah.
I don't see that a lot
Right.
in
Yeah, it's
some of
such
the
a gift.
spaces. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Definitely. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
interesting. So I ended up going to a few of the ADM intensives throughout
Mm-hmm.
college, and then I danced with the
Mm-hmm.
second company for a couple of
Oh,
years after
nice. Yeah.
graduation. So very
Okay.
familiar with the ADM
Yeah.
community, and
Uh-huh.
just yeah, that's such a great connection place, I think, for a lot of
Mm-hmm.
us, coming through.
Yeah.
So yeah. So speaking of getting to
Mm-hmm.
Belhaven,
Yeah.
how would you describe just your overall experience?
Whew, my goodness. I would say formative. I know we talked about like formative years. I
Mm-hmm.
feel like I had like formative years one, formative years two, you know. I felt
Yes.
like I had like different chunks for the different
Mm-hmm.
things that in different areas of my life, I felt like there was always a different time and place that I can pinpoint and say that's formative. And Belhaven is
Mm-hmm.
definitely one of those places that was formative, incubative. I always say that Belhaven got me ready for what I wanted to do. And it's funny because if you look at it on paper, you wouldn't think that the places that I've gone, just because of how the school was, I don't know how they're designed now, but
Mm-hmm.
it was very, very Christian focused, Christian centered,
Yeah.
and there's just the type of works that we did, but it kind of allowed me to unwrap like a secret sauce, which I use
Mm.
now as a teacher with my students, how I look at technique and training. It's not
Yeah.
you. I didn't take ballet class so that I can do Swan Lake or so that I can do any of these variations. It's more so about the process and what it does for my body and the
Mm.
tools that it gives me. And I think I had my time at Belhaven definitely supercharged my toolkit.
I
So I
love
was able
that.
to go anywhere that I wanted to go, and
Right.
I was able to be successful almost immediately. So that's how I would describe my time there. It's a formative year, whatever power.
Yes.
um, Also, and the teacher, I always, even now, I still speak of the teachers that we had because I've seen what other places had. I'm like, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I actually had excellent teachers. Um, but yeah, that's how I would describe my time there. Um,
Yeah.
it was challenging because, I came from a different cultural landscape.
Right.
And
Yeah. What
then,
was that
yeah.
transition like?
Yeah, I definitely experienced culture shock. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I don't think I don't think my teachers knew because I danced through it, but definitely leaving my family and a Caribbean space and the way we move,
Mm.
and coming into a Christian context sometimes. And this is not particular to Belhaven. This is just in general in a community that I have to deal with sometimes. Is that the
Mm-hmm.
way I was taught to move may or may not have been deemed as appropriate for a Christian
Uh,
context when one has nothing to do with the other. The way we move our spine and the way we move our hips and everything, just so for me, I'm like, oh my gosh, I am in a space that is predominantly Caucasian. And so
mm-hmm.
musically and creatively, nothing that I'm accustomed to hearing or being stimulated by was what I was experiencing there.
That
And so
makes sense. Yeah.
nothing was wrong with what was happening, obviously, because like I said,
Mm-hmm.
it prepared me for the life that I wanted or the career that I wanted. But in that moment, I had to figure out like, okay, where do I place this? Where do I place the me that I brought here
Yes.
across the sea, and then also where do I put this new information that I'm getting? And because it's just it felt for a long time. But let's say for the first semester, I feel like I was wrestling with placement. Like, where do I place this? Do I replace my instincts and my vision and how I see and how I want to move and how I want to feel for this? And so, I had to, I'm not going to say I had to do that. I think over time it became clear about where things, how they fit with each other.
Okay.
And I think the faculty went the extra mile to facilitate me finding that synergy. Because there was of the stuff they allowed me to do. I remember Miss Newland brought in a Jamaican choreographer, and we did like a reggae gospel number and a folklore and a Caribbean folklore ballet number. And then they allowed me to choreograph as like the community concerts and stuff, and they allowed me to shape my senior project the way I want to shape it. That included my culture, and Miss Tucker was my advisor, and she made sure she fully supported my ideas and what I wanted to express, even though we were trained in ballet and modern and choreographically speaking as well in terms of composition. Those were the measurements that we have as well, which may not have been appropriate for a cultural lens, but she worked with me to make sure that it was transferable, right?
Ooh, yes.
Yeah, and so it was, I honestly have nothing but positive things because I was always about my business. And when I went to Belhaven, I was like, I need to have a job by the time I leave here. So anything that doesn't have to do with me, it's not my business. Like work.
Stay focused.
Yes. I had the space to do that creatively, and also I had the support. It felt like a boutique experience. Today was my last class for the semester with students at NYU, and I remember sometimes some of the issues that they may present to me, because I'm only an adjunct, so I'm not involved in any of the deeper ongoings in the department. So sometimes they would share some of their concerns, and I'm like, oh wow, as a student I never had to worry about that. Or if I wasn't, let's say if I happened to not be doing well or something, I would get a tap on the shoulder. And a plan would have been, what I mean? Like it was just, and you've experienced that there as well.
Yes.
And so
that they're paying attention, to
yes,
how you are just as a person,
Yes, no one slips through the cracks, But that my time at Belhaven, I think formative, it definitely gave me all the tools for me to be able to run with it. And right after graduation, I got into a company in Texas, in Dallas. I was in Dallas for 7 years.
That's right.
I danced with Dallas Black for 4 of those 7 years.
Okay.
And then I did 2 years with Bruce Wood Dance.
Nice.
Right after Dallas Black as well. So, and I was fully prepared. I went in and vied with other talented people, because I think sometimes when you're in college, you forget that when you go also into the real world, especially from the Belhaven context, and how some of the conversations, like something just as simple as how rehearsal is ran, and how the dancers were spoken to, and the way you were nurtured from that Christian-centered or for that worldview,
right? Worldview.
From that perspective, I'm glad that I kept my edge, because you walk into another rehearsal space. There will be no milk and cookies. That's one thing I would say if I had a judgment, or I felt like sometimes the process was there was milk and cookies in the, for us, which was kind of, it adds to the health, to the healthiness of the dancers and the healthiness of the space in that time, but I think it didn't always reflect what the wider industry and how you operate, and how even just an audition.
Yes.
And,
it could be pretty shocking maybe if you're not prepared a little bit for that. Yes.
Yeah, and I think my personality, what saved me in that regard, I didn't have too much of a learning curve there, because my personality was already like, I could handle that, so it didn't bother me. But I could see, I'm like, well, you see, if I had softened up a little bit, I probably would have had a harder time matriculating into a professional space, because you were, very nurtured there, and that's the only thing I think that I saw as a contrast. I'm like,
that makes sense for sure. And I love hearing about your experience of transitioning and
Yeah.
kind of wrestling with those questions and just
Yeah.
even like physically,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of tug of war maybe that was happening internally, but such a beautiful journey to see
Yeah.
how just like the innate
Mm-hmm.
movement in you and what you
Yeah.
grew up with has also been able to blend
Right. Yeah.
with some of the, I don't know what you would call it.
It's just a blending of worlds, you
Yeah,
know.
worlds, exactly.
And I think how I train my students, I also leave space for that,
Love
regardless of where they
that.
come from. You know, majority of my students are Americans. I don't think I've had any international student. I mean, they're from Canada, but
Okay,
still
yeah.
similar. You know what I mean? Similar
Similar culture,
cultural
yes.
background. Yeah. So I leave space for that because I feel like that's what people buy. That's what people offer. That's what directors and choreographers or school directors or whatever. It's that thing. It's how you it's how you put the tools on top of that center. And I think sometimes we tend to, especially because of how the codified languages in terms of dance are being taught, sometimes we forget that that is not the core. That is how we that is the medium that we display the core. And I think, like I said, I believe that I just out of my discipline and my consistency that I learned that.
Yes.
Um, I guess like just through experience, I can't say, oh, I'm going to sit down and I'm going to make a goal and I'm going to synergize. Like I
Yeah.
couldn't do it before. It's only in hindsight that I'm like, oh, wow,
Yes.
I
That
followed
that's
my
what was
instinct.
happening.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
followed my instinct, but I also listened to my teachers.
Yes,
I
that
also remember, I
both.
also had Mr. Wynn's voice in the back of my head. I also had Miss Morton's voice in ballet class.
Yes.
I also had Miss Tugger's voice in the back of my head. So I'm finding a way for all of those voices to coexist. And now in every moment, some of them will have to dial down because that's not what's important at this time. And then sometimes I'm like, okay, let me pull up my tools. What did they say? What do I remember? And then some
Yes.
of those voices I need to put them a little louder depending on what
Right.
situation I am in. And I think, I kind of wish, I wish I knew that earlier. I would have been even better.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But I think it's one of those things that you could only live through it because
Yes.
there's no blueprint because a lot of that comes from within. And so now I can, put words to it and describe it and also pass it on to my students.
Right.
Um, but
Yeah.
before then, I don't think I could have verbalized what that process was until after.
Exactly. Yeah, it's that being able to kind of synthesize all that knowledge over time and that
Yeah,
experience.
yeah,
And I love that idea of the core, like the core of who we
mm-hmm,
are, and
yeah,
then that those are tools to
mm-hmm,
display that or to be able to,
yeah,
share that. And it's so
mm-hmm,
true just for any dancers listening and,
yeah,
finding what is it that's individual, unique to you,
mm-hmm,
and
yeah,
then how can these tools help you to be
right.
able to,
To continue to
yes,
evolve that, because that dream
yes.
sometimes, I remember I used to tell my students a lot. I said, I remember when I first started Belhaven, my college time, but at Belhaven, some girls come in as bunheads.
Mm-hmm.
And then when you see their senior project, the hair is down. And it's
Uh-huh.
a whole different. And I think it's because they allow that process to kind of unpack your toys and see what it is. And then you get to decide, how do I reorganize these things
Yes.
that best represents me? Because what represented you as a freshman did not always represent you as a senior designing
Mm-hmm.
your thesis or the companies that you want to audition for. And so it was always interesting to watch that.
For sure.
Yeah. And I think that's also a mark of a good program. At least for me, that's how I measure programs. I'm like, if there's transformation. And I feel like Belhaven was I think it was A+ for transformation. I think also, it's rare when you have the the what I would call them an A team. I will give them their flowers. I will give
Mm-hmm.
the faculty an A team. It's rare when you have where everyone's excellent in their own lane.
Yes.
Um,
And they kind of
Everyone was
understand
really
their
good.
lane as
Yeah,
well. Yes.
yeah. Everyone was just so good. Everyone was just so good at what they're doing. Like it's like there's no way in my mind. I'm like, there's no way I can get a job leaving here with all
Yeah.
these, you know,
Incredible.
excellent teachers and
Mm-hmm.
not just as like their pedagogical process, but also as leaders, to see how they lead also was a lesson in itself, even though we didn't have like a dance leadership class or anything.
Right.
But because
You're
of
watching it, you're
you're
observing
watching,
it and kind of taking it in. Yes.
yeah. I think
Yeah.
naturally because I was already a natural leader, I pay attention to things differently as
Mm-hmm.
well. And so I
That's
was
good.
able to also see how Miss Newland,
Yeah.
how she, yeah, I never see her sweat. I never see her lose her cool. I'm pretty sure she had reasons to lose it quite a few times. Um,
But she
and
maintained her
she,
yes,
I don't know how,
composure.
I don't know, I don't know how she did that.
Yeah.
Because some of that stuff, it would happen in front of my eyes. I'm like, I would have lost my mind. Or even my job if I was and
So good. Too funny.
she was just same thing with I always talk about Miss Tucker as well.
Yeah.
um I think I saw her lose her cool one time, and it
Mm-hmm.
still wasn't like,
Right. She was
yeah,
still like,
it was just
yeah.
a louder volume than her normal, that's all. But and
Uh-huh.
I'm like, oh, she was a little bit flustered. I think something was we were rehearsing something, and the dancers weren't doing what they were supposed to be doing, and she was
Oh,
having to
yeah.
repeat things that should
Oh,
not have
yeah.
been repeated. And she was like, "What are you doing? No.
Let's
How
get it
many
together.
times do I have to say this?" And I'm like, "My gosh, yay!" But okay, get it together. But
Uh-huh.
for me, I felt like I was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, you could actually okay.
Right.
You could get a little strong if you need to be." Um,
Yeah.
it was just
That's
nice to, and
funny.
even in those like reprimanding moments, it was still such grace and
Yes.
care. She get you together, but it
Right.
wasn't traumatic or abusive, or which in our industry that can happen very easily.
Mm-hmm.
And so I give them much credit, much
Mm.
credit. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Speaking of kind of maybe jump to the concept of just teaching and
Hmm.
mentoring students. So, we've
Yeah.
talked about it some already just through
Yeah.
your experience, but how has your career looked as far as like teaching and helping to, educate the next generation of dancers?
Yeah. So teaching has been so fun fact. Before I came to Belhaven, I was in school to be a teacher.
Oh,
Yeah.
cool.
So
I didn't
before I
realize that.
transferred from Belize to Belhaven, I was in a teacher education program, and I transferred out of that program
Okay.
to Belhaven. Yeah. And I come from a family of educators, so teaching academically was always part of my blueprint.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I was always just good at it. Um, and so now, after studying, at Belhaven and also having my professional career, it just continued to fuel and give me tools and ways. I think also as I performed, I taught a lot. And
Okay.
so when
Kind
I
of
was in Texas,
alongside.
yeah, I've always performed and taught at the same time. So
Mm-hmm.
all the years that I've been performing, like when I was in Dallas Black, I taught in the academy,
Oh, cool.
and I also taught at another program. I taught at a couple schools in Dallas, Texas Ballet Theater, Contemporary Ballet Dallas, Dallas Conservatory, Booker
Mm-hmm.
T. Washington High School for the visual and
Oh.
performing arts. And I did all of that while I was also in company.
Yes, that's
Um,
great. So you're
yeah,
kind
I
of
direct.
in real time able to pass on a lot of that
Yes.
experience and knowledge
Yeah.
and what you were
Yeah.
gaining as a
Yeah. And I think
professional.
also, I think a lot of times dancers, the route is that you perform until you decide not to perform anymore for whatever reason, and then you teach. And I think there's a lot to learn if you do them in tandem, because I think it also makes you a better dancer, a clearer
Yes.
dancer. It makes you a better choreographer. I don't think every dancer or every choreographer makes good educators, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when I mean teaching, I mean not just, oh, I will teach a fun master class. That's different. That's in one off. But
Right.
being responsible for a program, or being responsible for for students at a particular developmental stage, and you're responsible
Mm-hmm.
for getting them prepared for the next one. That in itself is its own technique, and I
Yes,
think a
it's a
lot of
totally
times that's
different skill
common.
set.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. A lot of times we think that the skills are transferable, and actually, it's not about transferability. It's actually a whole different set of
Right.
skills. And so I'm
Mm-hmm.
grateful that I've been able, education wise, I had that already. And then of course I put that skill on top of my dance training. And so that has, I think I would say, supercharged my teaching abilities on top of what I I gleaned from just doing the work physically by being in the industry, I also had that special interest and that, extra set of information on my teaching. And then when I came to New York, I joined The Lion King on Broadway
Yes,
shortly
which
after
I'm
that.
so excited to talk about.
Yeah. And I also, so after COVID, I was invited to join the faculty at NYU. So I was doing
Okay.
the show at night, teaching during the mornings,
Whew.
2 or 3 times a week. And so again, that's a different kind of work that also fueled. So I just had all these reinforcements, which I'm grateful for, that I know that's not common, right? So I know my other friends who are also great teachers, we still have a different toolkit still, you
Yes.
know? And you have some teachers who are fantastic, but may not have had a professional career equivalent to mine.
Right.
So you have some people who've been teachers from very early, and they're world-class teachers because they've done the work in that lane to develop those skills and prepare bodies for a professional career. My time at NYU has definitely challenged what I thought I knew how to do because of how the program is designed. They don't, it's not like you have like level one, level two, ballet one, ballet two, it's kind of different. The program is only 3 years instead of 4.
Okay.
And so you do 3 years and 2 summers. The first 2 summers are still curated, a part of the program. And it's just the way they design. So in one class, I might have multiple levels in one class.
Oh, okay. So you're having to
Um,
differentiate a lot more
yeah, a lot more.
within.
And so, yeah, and having to find, I had to figure out, so what is the center of my class, right? So when in
Yeah.
doubt, what is the default of my class? Because you walk in and think it's technical proficiency, but if I have varying levels in that class, then I can't be proficiency. It has to be something else. And so that taught me to kind of flip my teaching philosophy on its head and find another way. So what is this new? I have to build a new skeleton,
Yes.
um, and then allow how the skeleton dresses one day might be different than the other day. And that was challenging at first, but then I'm like, oh, all the other things that I just have in my toolkit just came to the surface whenever the challenge of the moment pulled on them. And I was, I'm attuned enough to if I wanted to go one way today and I realized I'm like, let's just redirect.
Right.
Um, and that's also a part of teaching is knowing when to pivot. I've been there since fall of 2021. It has refined my teaching a lot because of how the program is designed. It was a lot more exhausting than typical, but it's definitely like, I think, on brand for my experience as well. I'm like, yeah, I would be the one to have to figure this out, how to make this work based off my
Yeah.
experience as a student. I had to, like, remember the story I told you before where I had to
Yes.
reconcile the two. Now I got to teach them how to do that because I have
Yes.
someone in the class who might be a great contemporary somatic mover, but hates plumb line.
Yeah.
Anything ballet just makes their skin crawl, right? But I'm like, well, you got to take this class. And it's called ballet. It's not called do what you want.
Uh-huh.
So how are we going to meet each other? And next thing you know, they're the ones working the hardest in my class. And so,
I love that so much.
yeah, just finding ways to acknowledge, because I taught ballet and contemporary. And so having to
Okay.
also change the core again, because the core
Yes.
from contemporary to ballet. And there was a couple semesters where I ended up teaching the same students, both techniques.
Oh, that's
So
kind
that
of
was great.
fascinating
Yeah.
to see yeah.
Yeah, and
Uh-huh.
for me, able to teach them two different sides of the spectrum was actually really good for them and also really good for me to have to find the language and also not just repeat the same things over and over, right? Because it's two different
Exactly.
classes. So we're training two different sensibilities. So I'm definitely grateful for my time there. Exhausting
Yes.
because I typically do it, like I said, I was in the show as well at night, doing 8 shows
Whew.
a week. Um,
Wow.
yeah. And in
Yeah.
grad school at the time as well.
Oh,
Yeah, so it was just a lot,
very
but
like
like I said,
high
for
capacity.
me, I do well. I work well. Actually, if I'm not that stimulated, I get bored easily.
Okay. So that's good.
Yeah.
This is good.
Yeah.
I have
I get bored
lots to
easily.
do. Yes.
Yeah, I could do a lot of things at the same time and be fine.
So what
Yeah.
was it that brought you? Did you go from Dallas then to New York City directly?
No, no. So that's a very interesting question. The 7 years at Dallas was 4 years with Dallas Black And then I left Dallas Black and I quickly became the executive artistic director for a new performing arts center, a
That's
school
awesome.
there.
Yes.
And so I spent the last 3 years doing that while I danced with Bruce Wood. And when I was done with all of that, I'm like, I've only been in the South since I came to the States. I want to experience something else. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to move to DC because I want to
Mm-hmm.
experience something else. DC was fun. The level of work that I was getting, lovely people, DC at the time, their cultural activities, they were just trying to develop initiatives to have more things going on because DC is the land of politics. And so I was there at a time where I didn't feel like my career was going anywhere. And so I only spent 9 months there in DC. So I
Okay.
went from Dallas to DC, 9 months, and then I got into a show, well, two shows in Utah. So there's this regional theater called Tuacahn. It's in St. George, Utah, in the
Mm-hmm.
desert. And I am not exaggerating when I say desert. The shows have to start at 8:45 p.m. because it's so hot during the day.
Whoa.
Yeah, and so I almost fainted one night because it was so hot on stage. And it's an amphitheater. So imagine
So
a
just
baseball field.
outdoor, like,
Yeah, imagine a baseball field, but then with a big stage. And the backdrop
wow.
is like all the red rocks.
That would be
Yeah, beautiful,
beautiful, but
beautiful.
hot.
So
Yes.
very, very hot. So I got into Prince of Egypt. So remember the
That's
cartoon
cool.
Prince of Egypt? They created the
Yes.
musical. And so I
Okay.
did Prince of Egypt and Cinderella there. And
That's fun.
then I got invited to go teach in Jamaica. So I was in Jamaica for a semester teaching at the
Oh,
college.
that's awesome.
Yeah. And then after Jamaica, I came to New York.
Okay. So you
Yeah.
were kind of
Mm-hmm.
getting lots of different experiences in a short
Yes.
period of time.
Yes.
Yeah, that's really neat. Thank you for
Yes.
filling in the gap there.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. So then when you
So
went to
that's
New
how I
York,
got to New York.
yes, were you initially going, like, did you get into The Lion King right away on Broadway, or was it
Um,
what after you moved to New York that you auditioned
I
and everything?
got in, so I moved to New York December 1st, 2018. I auditioned for Lion King February 2019. Then I had a callback June
Oh
2019.
wow, 4 months later. Whew.
4 months later, they called,
Okay.
asked me if I want to come in for a callback. And then I got the job at the end of June.
Okay.
The offer at the end of, after that callback. And then
Yes.
I started the show October of 2019.
Okay. Is that pretty
Yeah.
typical on Broadway to have like a
They might not call you for
extended?
money. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because sometimes, so for like a show like Lion King, because it's so specific, like your height, and depends on what role it is, sometimes they just need to keep you on file just in case. And sometimes, yes, you
Mhm.
audition, you might make it to the end of the audition and a callback, but they might not need your type or the role that they want you for. They might not need you until next year or something like that.
That makes
So you
sense.
might
Yeah.
find that they call you a year later or they ask you to come back and audition one more time if too much time has passed.
Okay.
But
That's
yeah,
so
that's normal.
interesting.
It's quite
Yeah.
normal. Yeah,
That makes
yeah.
sense. So how was your experience as part of The Lion King?
I mean, it was a dream. I think Lion King was a forgotten dream because I
Mm.
nonchalantly auditioned for it. Because remember, I was
Okay.
teaching, so I
Right.
thought I was gonna just be teaching after that. And so when I saw the audition notice, I was like, oh, and one of my cousins was like, you need to go. I'm like, sure, fine. So I went to the audition, didn't think anything of it, and then as the audition was going, I start getting inspired. I was like, ooh, we're here. Okay, here we go. Let's do this.
Yes.
Let's do this. And I just got into it, and the next thing you know, I was dancing my face off.
I love
Um,
that.
yeah, and it worked. It worked out in my favor. So yes, doing the show is equal parts magical and probably one of the most difficult things I've ever done. What it does to your body, industry is hard. Being a dancer is hard on a sprung floor. Imagine having to wear puppets. They're not heavy. At least my puppets weren't heavy. But
Yeah.
it just changed the dynamic of your dancing. So there's extra things you have to do. And then the stage is steel because it's automated and it's moving.
Oh,
And so,
okay.
sometimes you're doing some of these big jumps, some of these dance jumps that we learned on a sprung floor. You're doing it on a floor that has no give.
Ooh,
And
yeah.
so, the shock to the body, over time is very taxing. And so you find yourself having to change your regimen according to the season. So your body feels different in the summer than it does in the winter. or when the holiday schedule comes around. So after Halloween, so
Yeah.
Thanksgiving, Christmas, New Year's, and it's New
Mm.
York City. So New York City is the high tourist season.
Right. So
And
tons of people
so
coming and probably extra
yeah,
shows and
extra shows. So sometimes you're
okay.
doing. I think the union has put a limit. Sometimes you're doing what, 10 to 12 shows, maybe. Don't quote
Wow.
me on that. I think
Yeah.
there's a legal limit, but let's say 10 to 12 shows in a row. You get paid. They have to soup up the pay. So you're like, oh
Right.
my gosh, I'm thinking about the money. I'm thinking about the money.
Yeah.
But sometimes you don't make it. Like
Yeah.
I have to tap out at 10 sometimes,
Hmm.
or you pace yourself. In general, the show is magical. The level of talent, the brilliance in the work, and to see that every night. What I'm grateful for is at the time that I've had in the show, I've never not noticed the magic or the brilliance. And just the way the music is written and the way the song is sung and the dancing, it fits my personality. And so
Hmm.
even if I'm having a bad day, whether emotionally, mentally, or physically, it's hard for me to not get in it. The minute I'm on
Uh-huh.
there, it just goes away, you know.
Yes.
But yeah, I suffered quite a few injuries that were major injuries. I was out for like 2 months and then 3 months, and then I ended up
Okay.
having two foot surgeries,
Wow.
one in 2023 and one in 2024.
Okay.
That's when I left the show. I'm like, okay, my body kept breaking, and I was very diligent. I
Mm.
give myself about before every show,
Oh, good
I
job.
go on
Good job.
stage.
Yes.
I go on stage sweating. So
Wow,
as the
that's
curtain,
great.
I
Yes.
was a zebra. So,
Uh-huh.
circle of life, I'm the second zebra that comes running out. I'm already sweating at the beginning of the show. That was my personal goal. I'm like, I have to be at least glistening because I know
Mm-hmm.
that my body would be ready for
Right.
the work. And then at intermission, I will redo something depending on how I feel. I might do some stretches or some push-ups, some squats.
Mm-hmm. To keep the body warm and
Yes,
yeah.
and none of it helped. I got to a point where none of it helped.
Wow.
And I go to the gym. So, yeah,
Right.
it's,
You're like, okay, it's
yeah,
just maybe not the right
yeah.
thing
So I'm
for
like,
the body now. Yeah.
yep, absolutely.
Makes
But
sense.
I chalk it up to just the natural wear and tear, and everyone's bodies are different. Some people don't have
Yes.
as many issues as I did, but I also started late and beat my body into submission. My feet were flat. I had to really work for the things that
Mm-hmm.
I can celebrate now, but the body does. At some point, it will tell you like, okay, we tired. It's time to move on
Yeah,
to
yeah,
something
makes
else.
sense.
So, yeah,
Yeah, how has that been transition wise, just emotionally, mentally, all of that?
I think to be transparent, my transition was hijacked
Okay.
because I left so when I found out in the spring of 2023 that I needed surgery, I waited until September to leave the show. So I waited
Mm,
5 extra months to close out the chapter.
yeah.
Um,
Get some
and
closure
I
there.
thought I was just going to do the surgery and then bounce back into whatever is next. And the first surgery was botched. And
Mm,
so I had to redo it. And then I was on like workers' compensation, and that's very stressful. And,
yeah.
they bump you off of your benefits prematurely. Then you have to go to court to fight them. And it was just a lot. So I felt like my transition, to be honest, has been hijacked by the drama of
Mm,
being on disability and having to redo surgeries.
yeah.
Um, yeah, so all the planning that I did, I graduated just before I left the show. I graduated with my master's
Oh,
in
that's great.
organizational leadership because the company had a employee benefit that they paid if you want to go back to school, whether it's a
Mm.
certificate or a master's, they paid for it. And
Oh,
so,
that's great. Yeah.
yeah, I did that through Disney. And so I'm
Hmm.
like, well, I'm gonna wait until I graduate. And so I did. I graduated, and then 2 weeks later, that's when I retired from the show.
Okay.
Um, but people don't really ever retire from Lion King because you
Yeah.
leave, and then they call like, "Hey, can you come and cover for
Uh-huh.
2 months to next show?"
Uh-huh.
That happens all the time. That's the one thing I like about the company is that, let's
Mhm.
say the parts that I know, or even if they need someone for a short time, they always bring the people back.
That's great.
Yeah,
Yeah, so you're kind
that's
of
already been
part of the
through.
family or
Yeah,
yeah.
it's normal,
Hmm.
and so
That's great.
yeah, that hasn't happened yet because I was physically unable to.
Hmm.
But that's a normal thing for us. And so I was just medically cleared last month.
Okay.
My first surgery was September 29th, 2023, and I've been in surgery and boots and healing since then up until last month.
Wow. Well,
So,
congratulations that you are
thank
officially
you.
cleared.
I got
Woohoo!
officially cleared, but like I said, my transition, unfortunately, well, I'm not gonna say unfortunately, I'm not gonna put that there, but it has been hijacked. And so,
Mm-hmm.
what I thought, how I uh, responsibly planned it out was completely
Mm-hmm.
just
Kind of
went up
just
in
flipped.
flames because I
Yes,
had to get into survival mode and I had to do what I needed to do
that makes
to take
sense.
care of my foot, and stuff like that. So
Right.
now I still, so I feel, to be honest, I feel like I'm a bit behind of where I thought I was
Mm.
going to be. And so, I'm prayerful that my resilience, the way I managed, I kept my health, my mental health, I kept my spirituality during all these challenges. And so I'm prayerful that because I was such a good boy. I did not cuss anyone out. I did not fight. I did not, I kept, I turned multiple cheeks, when the punches came. So, I do, I'm prayerful that now that, okay, I made it to the end of the challenge. I made it through the maze. So
Mm.
now there should be a prize somewhere for me, right? So, that is what I'm
And kind of
hoping
that,
for.
even just the all that formation that's happening in you through
Yeah.
that,
Yeah.
and just yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Thank you for sharing.
I'm no stranger to challenges, right? But at
Right.
some point, and I'm like, I don't mind things that are complex, right? That's why we
Uh-huh.
study. That's why we go through things. It's also that we can deal with life complexities. I'm scared. I'm
Right.
not scared of complex. But sometimes I'm like, if I have one more war to fight, I am not sure if I'm gonna make it through this one. And then of course you make it, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it does take something out of you. It does exhaust you. At the same time, you're stronger, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense.
Yeah, it's true. It's kind
Yeah,
of both and
yeah.
yeah,
It's a
well,
duality that you have to learn how to manage with grace. And I would say, if I must give myself a pat on the back, I was very graceful during
good.
all
That's
of that. And
amazing.
yeah,
Praying this will be a
yeah,
restorative season.
indeed.
Yes.
Yeah, it has to be. It has to be, or else we're gonna have to give somebody a call because I'm like, what's happening now? But yeah, I am optimistic and I am claiming it to be
Mm-hmm.
things going to be restored to order because they were completely out of whack given all of
Yeah.
the things that were completely out of my control. So that required a different kind of surrender. And ever since coming to this country, I always knew everything was calculated for me. I knew I was going to move here, I'm going to work here. I move here for this job, and I move
Mm-hmm.
here for this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to get this degree, and and now this is the first time for me to like to surrender in a way that is different than before. And so finding the gratitude for that, which is not always easy. What I've learned that sometimes when I can't stay in a space of gratitude because something is heavy or something is challenging,
Mm-hmm.
then you kind of lean on discipline, right? Because
Mm-hmm.
it doesn't always require thought and it doesn't always require emotion.
Mm-hmm.
And I think sometimes when we try to be grateful or have faith, right? So whether it's faith, whether it's something that is the before, which is the faith is before and the gratitude is usually after, right?
Yes.
Either of those, sometimes you just don't have the capacity to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And so what do? You lean on, I'm gonna do it anyway, right?
Yeah,
There's
that
some days I
discipline.
don't feel like going to the gym. I don't feel like going to the run. It don't matter. Do it
Yeah.
anyway.
Right.
Move the body. Do whatever, go
Yes.
show up because you said you would, even though you don't feel like it.
Mm-hmm.
And in,
And then
in
it
each moment,
eventually
yes,
kind of catches up.
yes,
Mm-hmm.
you at least you pray, right? Like
Yes.
I hope this works. I don't feel like doing this, but I'm gonna do it anyway. And so
Uh-huh.
that's what I think I've been doing for the last throughout this whole transition is I
Mm-hmm.
don't feel like it, but I'm gonna do it anyway.
Hmm. So
So
good.
that's what I got from that
Yes.
process. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you, just your openness with that and,
Yeah.
the reality of different seasons and,
Yeah.
so thank you for
Yeah.
sharing. Because I'd love to ask you about choreography. I
Yeah.
know that's a passion as well.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
what
Yeah.
is sort of your creative process as a choreographer?
So a lot of my choreographic processes has always been in a academic setting, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
usually school or like a studio or like a conservatory setting where it's training, right? So I rarely ever go into a place for a week and just set a piece and go away.
Yes.
I usually teach in places, whether it's summer intensives, I would be teaching at the intensives for like 5 weeks in the summer.
Okay.
So I have time to build. The process that I prefer is to build on class. So whenever I
Mm.
go places to teach, to choreograph, I usually ask to teach the class before my rehearsal.
Love that.
Yeah. And I typically do it, I just kind of throw it all in the same fee. I'm like, don't worry about it. But I think it helps my choreography for me to
Yeah.
have them in instruction as well, so that by the time it's time for us to focus on the creativity, I don't have to be spending time teaching you things, and we could just
Mm-hmm.
actually play and be creative.
Yes, they can
Um,
understand kind of the concepts that
yes,
you value and where you're
yeah,
coming from.
yes.
Mm-hmm.
And typically, what I like to do is I'm like, after you dance my work, my goal is that you're better at dancing, period, for anyone.
Love that. Yes. So
And so
good.
I can say, you know, with full conscience that I've been successful at that.
That's
That
great.
whenever I work with a group of people, they are better dancers for the next person, or
Mm.
there's a light bulb somewhere for someone in any different way.
Mm. Yeah.
I feel like that has been the ongoing feedback. Like, one of my students, the seniors, said to me, "You changed my life." I'm like, "Oh."
Oh,
I said,
yeah.
that's my job, is to look at you and figure out where does this go, and to show them and to find
Mm-hmm.
ways for them to see glimpses of that now. I am not the kind of choreographer who I have an idea and my idea rules. I'll
Mm-hmm.
have an idea as a starting point, but then when you begin to embody my idea, then it's a conversation, right?
Love. Yes.
And a lot of times, what I like, because I like to teach and choreograph to the same group, a lot of times I can, even if something is difficult, I can coach you. I have time to coach you
Right.
into,
Yes.
which I tend to do that naturally. And then sometimes if I have to change a step because you look better doing it this way, then so be it. But
Mm-hmm.
creatively, I leave enough room because I'm like, at the end of the day, it's not about my movement. It's about what your ability to be able to speak to the audience,
Mm-hmm.
clearly, so that they can understand and appreciate. My works are not. I don't follow narratives. I think I'm one of those choreographers who I'm all about design, right? It needs to be fierce. It needs to be good to look at. It needs to be pretty. That's my thing. I used to struggle with that at Belhaven because composition is all the what you call it. What's the word that he used?
Is it like meaning or I
Yeah,
don't
it's
know,
like
something?
these concepts, and then you distill
Oh, yeah.
the concept into the movement. And I'm like, I just want you to be on your leg, 5, 6, 7, 8, twirl.
Uh-huh.
That's what I like, And so composition wise, our classes weren't really like that. Like you have to tell this story or this storyline, which I understand in
Yes.
narrative or choreography, but I am not
Mm-hmm.
that kind of choreographer. I could do that in a musical theater context. I could do that in a play context, but if I'm choreographing something from my creativity, from my thought, it's always going to be about the fierceness of what we can do with our
Yes.
bodies.
Well,
that's my ammo. You want something on the leg and fierce? You
mm-hmm.
call me. I got you.
Perfect.
Yeah, and I have the patience to find a way. My dancer said, if I ask you to turn 4 times, then you can't. Do two and stop,
Mm-hmm.
and give me a look. You know what I mean? Like
Yes.
there's so many ways of unlocking the mastery that we are
Mm.
pursuing, because that's why we studied, right, the dance. It's not so that we can love it more. It's so that we can pursue it in a masterful way. And so
Mm-hmm.
I kind of strip some of the things away. I see some choreographers who have these great concepts. I was like, oh my gosh, that's so beautiful, and I just love to consume it. But I
Yes.
don't create from that. I create. It's either pretty, or the design. The way I
Mm-hmm.
design the costumes and the groups coming in and the costume mix match and the layers. I love doing that kind of geometry type stuff. Um,
That's fun.
but I am not a concept in terms of like, okay, we're gonna do this piece about human rights, or we're gonna do this piece about
Right.
climate change.
Yeah, you're like, let's just dance. Create
That
some beautiful
I
art. Yes.
Let's create beautiful art. Yes, let people scream. I want to see it again. Let them,
Uh-huh.
I want your hair to stand
Like
up
the
because, oh my
energy.
gosh, yes. I like to blow the roof off.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and in all the genres that I teach, of course, I'm from the Caribbean, so I do Afro-Caribbean, I do contemporary modern
Yes.
or contemporary ballet.
Love it.
And in any of those genres, it's always going to be one of those things, whether it's just clever in design,
Mm-hmm.
the move, I want you to ask to see it again. I want you to come back and buy another
Yes.
ticket to see it one more time
That's so
because
fun.
it was just so
Yes.
good. I can't get enough of it. That's what I want you to walk away with. I want you to be like, oh my
Mm-hmm.
gosh. I want you to think that the dancer is brilliant, right? That's what
Yes.
I like to see. I want the dancer to feel brilliant. I want everyone to see that they're brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
That's what motivates me.
So
Um,
good.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes.
Well, thinking back to remembering getting to watch you perform at Belhaven, I can
Oh my goodness,
totally
yeah.
see just I always loved watching you dance and
Oh, I
perform and just
appreciate that.
the
Thank
energy
you.
that you bring
Mm-hmm.
through who you are as a person and as
Yeah,
a performer. So that's,
yeah.
yeah, so neat. Did you
Yeah,
have a
one of
favorite piece that you've performed either at Belhaven or through your whole career?
yes, there's a favorite piece. Um, so when I was at Belhaven, the company I ended up dancing with, Dallas Dance Theater, came to Jackson State University. And so we
Oh,
went to see the
cool.
show and they did this piece called Ostrich. If you remember, we learned about ostrich in dance history. One of these
Yes.
staples in black dance, and it was choreographed in what 1934. And and so but Dallas Black is one of the few companies who has it in their rep. So when I saw that dance, I'm like, that's what I wanted to do for senior project. So Miss Newland helped we found the person who has the rights to it. And she wasn't very helpful.
Okay.
She did, yeah, she was like, oh, only professionals do it. And she was just giving us a whole lot of drama. Miss Newland was like, you know what? We tried. I don't think you should bother with that because it might not, I don't want you to try to do it and then the rug gets pulled from under you because this is your senior project. So perhaps you might want to do something that you have more control over. So, because I was trying to do that piece for my as a performer for
That
my
would have
senior
been really cool.
project.
Yeah.
Yeah, and so Miss Newland tried to help me. Like she literally, we were on the phone with the lady together in her office, and the lady
Uh-huh.
was just, "Oh, I'm going to study in Paris, and only professionals. I got to see what you look like." It's just a whole bunch of stuff that just sounded like this might not happen. So,
Right.
she
Yeah.
advised me to just let it go, and I did.
Hmm.
But then when I joined the company, I learned it.
That's
Yes.
incredible.
And I've been able to even after I left the company, I've been able to guest doing the piece. And the highlight that it was that I was able, so Jan Valou is a Haitian, um,
Hmm.
the Haitian, primarily Haitian movement. And so
Yeah.
everyone in Haiti knows how to Jan Valou. That's their thing, right?
Yes.
Like everyone in America knows how to do the electric slide or whatever. That's how it
Uh-huh.
is there for them culturally.
Okay.
And so I was able to do a Caribbean festival and in front of millions of people, I was able to perform that very dance that I saw all the way back in like
Ah,
2006, 7.
that is so amazing.
No, I'm sorry. Yeah, no, 2008 because I was at Belhaven.
Hmm.
Yeah, it was 2008 because 2009. Yep, that's how it went.
Hmm.
That's how it went. And so that was my favorite to be able to do that historic piece. And,
Ah,
I'm grateful because as a dancer, sometimes, we all want to leave our mark. And I think for me, whenever people think about that dance, in this day, they reference me now.
mm,
So versus I
that's
remember
neat.
as students, we were sitting class together, I was watching someone else on the tape,
Yes.
and then
Hmm.
to become part of that history now, that someone will probably use my video to teach the next generation about this dance and what,
So cool, the
and whatever.
legacy that
So,
happens there.
yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so honored to have been a part of that and still, to be respected and noted for it as well, I think
Yes.
is, that was,
That's
I would
powerful.
have to say that's my favorite because that's like someone doing, oh, I always wanted to be, I always wanted to do um Serenade or Giselle or whatever the other
Yes.
stuff. For me, that was my
That
North
was
Star.
it.
I'm like, I want to do
Yes.
that because it culminated
Mm-hmm.
that remember when I spoke about earlier about the tools that you use to demonstrate the core. And
Mm-hmm.
that was I think the quintessential dance to show where I came from, my
Mm-hmm.
identity, and also my technical mastery of my body, right? So when it's a technical mastery, not just technical mastery of fifth position or your codified language, but me being able to interpret that in my body
Mm.
in a way that is universal and also excellent, right?
Yes.
Um, and so I think that to me is like the perfect example of all of what I shared about learning the body through the ballet, through the modern, through Mr. Chris Pilates class, all of that stuff. Like learning how to control and to manipulate this body to tell this story, whichever story you want to tell and whoever you want to tell it with. That's the ultimate goal, is that how do I master my body? And that piece requires quite a bit of mastery. It's only a few steps, but for 5 minutes and 35
Right.
seconds, yeah, it's
Wow.
definitely
So powerful.
a test.
Yes.
So that's my favorite.
I love that.
Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, that's so good. And
hmm
as we kind of wrap up, I'm curious to
hmm
hear, do you have advice for kind of young aspiring dancers, students that are currently coming up?
Yes, absolutely. And that is with respect to the changes that we've been experiencing since COVID in our industry. And I'm considering a doctorate degree. As I was looking at programs, I'm like, what do I want to study? What do I have to study? What kind of programs? I'm like, I would love to redesign how we educate artists
Mm.
and to use my experience as a one of the blueprints, because it's so highly personal or individualized. I would say to young performers, dancers, musicians, whoever listens, to consistently zoom out. Because sometimes we get caught up and think, oh my gosh, I keep falling out of my turns. Well, actually, that's fine. There'll be a day where you're going to follow your turns. There'll be a day when you're going to stick it. But to see yourself in the wider context of your purpose and your range of gifts. And I could say this, I've always seen it, and I've seen it in my friends, I've seen it in my students. If you're a dancer deciding to getting a BA or BFA in dance, chances are you're good at something else as well. So let's say you're a creative person, then you might think, could I be a good marketing person? Or I'm charismatic, could I be a good fundraising person? I'm a great teacher. So as I'm studying, as I'm growing, you have to begin to feed your other skill sets as well, so
I
that
love
you
that.
have a greater opportunity when it comes to work, whether it's going to be within the arts and culture or the creative economy, or you can say, you know what, that's fine. I'm going to get an MBA. I'm really good with systems, so I'm going to get an MBA in HR or whatever, right? I do believe that, I hope I'm not, destroying any dreams by saying this, that there's not going to be enough jobs for all of us that are studying or auditioning. So some people will have to choose something else. And I think if you prepare, that's something else that's also personal to you. So let's say you decided, oh, you know what, this is really good. I want to go get my master's in multimedia producing, because you're doing this podcast and you realize you're really good at it, and you see the numbers. I'm like, actually, you know what? I could produce podcasts for someone else, or I could work for Joel Osteen and just tell him I'm gonna run the podcast department and I'm gonna go get a journalism degree because I'm good at it. And your dad and your discipline from learning from studying as a dancer, your ability to overcome challenges, your ability to problem solve, that you all learn as part of, you're still an artist, right? And so what is
Yes.
that skill? I think the dancing or the music is only the outcome.
Mm.
That's not always the gift. I think the way programs are designed, they're not designed to show us that. We learn that by stumbling or
Yeah.
getting enough no's or getting enough doors closed in our faces. But sometimes we don't. I believe that because I've been through that, my students shouldn't go through that. I should develop a process to where they understand that, yes, you can twirl on stage, or you could tell a story with your body, or you can choreograph really well. Okay, well, what else are you actually good at? So that you can
Right.
understand the breadth or the full capacity of your gift, which isn't just the output of choreography, the output of performing, the output of singing, the output of playing an instrument. Because of how our industry is going right now, you are going to have to um, lean into a wider talent matrix versus just this one lane. And
So
I know
good.
we're taught to be linear in focus, but if you're going to work in arts and culture, not unless you're just a protege and people are going to be crawling at your feet to get you into their works. But then what happens when your body decides,
Right.
excuse
Yeah.
me, I need a break. What am I going to do?
So
Right?
really
And
for
so
all
that's
of us, it's important
all
to
of us. It's
understand,
important.
yeah, what
Yeah,
is that gift under.
your entire talent matrix. Become familiar with it and explore it and dive head first, because you will realize that that's how I end up being a director of a conservatory and having to do the strategic plan, right? The board is like, well, we have the money, but we need to know how you're going to spend it. I'm like, well, I know what I need to spend it on, but I needed to be able to communicate clearly about why, where, and how. And so that's how I learned that I'm a good strategic thinker. And so I got my master's in strategy and innovation. So, but I had to go through that, I had to learn kind of backwards. But now that I've done that, I'm like, what, I need to have the conversations with my students. I'm like, you see how quickly you learn that your brain works that way. Where can we transfer that now? Right?
Yes.
So even if you're still going to perform, you have to begin to open your mind that way so that if you have to pivot, you've been nurturing those other skills as well. And so you can transfer it in a measurable way. A lot of times as artists, you find that we have all these skills. Yes, we could think faster than everyone else in the room. We grasp complex context quicker, but we don't know how to transfer that skill. And that requires practice to transfer that skill. So that's what I would say to artists, to young dancers, is to explore your entire talent matrix. Yes, I understand you could love dance primarily right now or music primarily right now, but you have to, I think it's worth it, especially, again, I keep reiterating, post-COVID, you see how, federally, how some of, the relationship that we're having, I'm not a political person at all, but the decisions that they're making federally affects our industry because of funding, right? And so what does that mean? That means there are going to be less jobs.
Right.
And then on the other hand, you have the popularization of unionizing. So with the unionizing on the rise and then the federal changes, arts organizations are going to be stifled because they don't have the money to pay you, and then the dancers unionize or the performers unionize, and then the unions will require them to pay a certain amount. And so, that's me being forward thinking. So I'm like, so for the young, I'm thinking about the young performers who are coming into that system. Right, I've already danced and I've already been in the shows and I've already done that. So I kind of got away before it got a little crazy. I think it's going to get a little crazy. And I think an antidote to that is that if performers are able to explore their full talent matrix, then I think they will be able to produce new solutions, new business models for arts organization, new business models about how we do what we do, and also they can also probably decide to change careers because we might need some people to change their minds and go somewhere else, right?
Having a lot of options is good.
Yes. Yeah,
I love that idea of a talent matrix. That's so good.
Yeah, because they're all related. It's not, I have to go do this because I failed at that one thing. No, I can teach, I can choreograph, I can perform, I can sit in a board meeting, I can do all those things. And so I've, been blessed and fortunate enough to be able to develop my talent matrix through my experience. And so I do feel the way we intentionally educate them, the next generation, has to come from that, or call that multi-lens, where I'm like, okay, so what is let's say we know about linguistic intelligence and kinesiological intelligence and all these intelligences. So when it comes to the arts industry or the artists, we have to look at what other intelligences, what is the intelligence that a marketer have, or a fundraiser or human resource manager, and begin to kind of extract and to kind of extract that and translate the language so that you realize that, oh, you're just a dancer. There's no such thing. Right?
Yeah.
We know that, but the big wider circles in the world don't know that. Right? And so I think now, to be very clear, we can formalize that so that we can monetize it, because in order for us to keep the arts alive, we're going to have to come at it from a multi-lens or from a matrix perspective versus just the love of this thing that we have. So that's what I would say to them. Learn, explore other things, learn what you're good at. Like a lot of people, there's some things that go together. Like some of us are great painters. I have one of my colleagues. He can draw and paint and sew.
Oh wow!
And he's in the Lion King.
That's amazing.
You see what I'm saying?
Yes.
And so he makes outfits. People want like jazz pants. He makes costumes for one of my colleagues for his other piece.
It's incredible.
Yes. Everyone has these, and I'm like, yes, that's what it will require now. you know, and even if it's just one other thing, you might
Yeah,
be good at
just having
performing
that
and a
connection.
great teacher, or you might be
Yes.
you might realize that after art, I might want to be a therapist. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And so we have to begin
Yeah.
to look at other ways. And in order to do that, I think the healthy way to do that is to begin to explore what else can I use this gift, this thing that I love? How can I repurpose it, right? How can I,
Yes.
can it be the seed for something else, you know?
Yeah. I
And
love that
even you might,
imagery there.
yeah, yeah, even if you decide that, you know what, it just makes me love it even more. Okay, fine. Then that's what it
Exactly.
is. Yeah, that's
Exactly.
okay too. There's no wrong answer, really. There's no
Mm-hmm.
wrong way. But what it does, it allows you to think on a wider circle, in a wider circumference, because
Mm-hmm.
that's what it will require to weather the changes until things get better. Which we don't know. We just have to know how to manage what's in our hands right now, and then
Yes.
prepare for as far as we can see.
Right.
So that's what I would advise them. Yes, do the work, but also explore. Your gift is probably wider than you're looking at it.
Yes.
So start to explore that, especially explore it when the cost is low. So
Mm-hmm.
if you're a student and you could
Yeah. This is the
explore, you don't have
time.
yeah, this is the
Exactly.
time. You don't have to worry about the rent. You ain't gotta pick the kid up from school. You ain't gotta do any of that stuff. You could just focus
Yes.
on yourself. So this is the time for you to explore the range of your gifts so that you can be more
Mm.
fruitful.
Such good wisdom.
Yeah,
Yes. Well,
yeah,
Jamie, is there anything that we didn't
yeah.
get a chance to talk about or anything last, final thing you would want to share?
No, I just, no, I think we kind of covered.
Yeah, we covered some. I love where this kind of went and that we got to cover some good
Yeah, yeah.
topics.
What I didn't want was for me to just give you an oral bio or an oral resume. I wanted, to be conversational and for people to see
Mm-hmm.
themselves, right? So it's like whenever I teach, I want you to go home and pick up the mirror. He said if I turn this way, you know what I mean? I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I see it, I see it. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And so it's just the thought to trigger your process. And I think
Beautiful.
sometimes as dancers, like I said, because there's a rubric, there's a right and a wrong way, there's a most efficient and there's a less efficient. There's a yes and a no. It's either fifth position. I told my students, they always laugh at me. I said, it's either a fifth position or a traffic sign. We don't use traffic signs in ballet, right? Turn up ahead. Like, no, turn
Uh,
out. And so because of that
that's
rigor,
funny.
because of that black and white, that binary approach, we kind of use that binary approach to the rest of our lives, which that's not what it's for. That was just
Mm.
for the science. That's just for process. Because
Mm-hmm.
once you accomplish what the product of the process, then the way you maintain it is different than how
Yes.
I learned it. And we don't have enough facilitated processes to help us to change. Well, I'm like, if you're in conservatory versus a pre-professional program, you dance differently, you take class differently, and sometimes we don't teach those classes differently. We should. And so, the kids who are pre-pro at 10, 11, 12, and pre-pro at I'm about to go into college, or pre-pro I'm about to audition, I'm a senior. It's very different.
Yes.
We call all of those pre-pro,
Right.
but they
But
have to
they're all,
dance they have to dance differently, right? And so but we also have to teach them differently. The framework that we give them. Excellence is excellence. Fifth position is fifth position. A flat back is a flat back. A lateral T is a lateral T. It's not never a lateral
mm-hmm.
Y,
Right.
right? So there's some things that are there, but it's the way we work, the information that we pull to the forefront, the voice that we dial up or dial down,
Mm.
and those things um, are different. And so I always, what I had to do to be successful is to change the authority of my voice, right? You will trust my voice, but I am not the last word for your dance ability. This is just a process, and so I kind
One
of,
step along the way.
yeah,
Yes.
because when the next person comes in, you have to listen to them and allow that
Mm.
process to mold
Yeah.
as well. So it's
Ah,
it's a it's just a constant molding.
beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, final question, just for
Yes.
fun,
For
is
fun.
what is one of your favorite things right now? And that could be literally anything. So, could be small, could be big.
Oh my gosh. Okay, the video. So like the Reels feature on Facebook and Instagram. People are so funny.
Yes.
the videos that people are usually you have to watch America's Funniest Home Videos
Uh-huh.
to see some of these things, right?
Right. And now it's
I
just
mean, now that's my
everywhere.
morning. That's either my late night routine or I woke up at 3 a.m. and can't go back to sleep routine or
Hmm.
early morning. If I don't have to jump out of bed, I just scroll through videos and I am in tears. Just I think that is my favorite thing. People are like, oh, you gotta limit your screen time. I'm grown. I'll do what I want to do, you know? So, and that is my guilty pleasure right now is just like
Yeah.
leaning into it. I mean, it's just so creative.
Hmm.
People kind of
Yeah.
recreating scenes from movies or they're playing different characters. I'm like, this
Yes.
creative brilliance is just amazing.
It
So
is.
that's my favorite thing right now that I've been enjoying a lot more now because I've had all this time because I've healing from surgeries and stuff.
Yeah.
So I'm just looking at videos, and I am the person who sends everyone memes and videos.
Perfect.
Yes,
Yes.
yes,
I do
and
a lot of that as well.
I'm really
So
good. The one that I send are
yeah,
really funny.
they're going to be
So
really funny. Yes. They can trust that if they're
yes,
coming from you, it's going to be a good,
you're
good.
going to have a belly full of laughter.
I love it. And
Uh,
laughter is great
yeah,
medicine too. So it's good.
yes, yes. You could never have enough of it.
Yes. Well, Jamie,
Yeah.
this has been such a pleasure, such a gift just to get to hear from you, get to catch up with you, hear
Hmm.
what you're doing. And I'm so grateful you are cleared to dance and just,
Yes, to move on
yeah.
with life.
Yes,
Yes,
exactly. So blessings to
yes.
you. And
Thank you, thank
yes,
you.
thank you for this
And
time.
blessings for you on your on your seasons of
Thank you.
doing the podcast. I think that's awesome.
Thank
And
you.
being able to kind of put this together so other people can see, not just the Belhaven alumni, but I hope for you that it sparks something else, and
Yes.
give you new ideas and for you to be audacious
Mm,
as well into whatever other creative ideas you have to just
yeah.
do it. Because why not?
Yes. Why not?
Yeah,
Exactly.
why not?
Thank you so
Yep.
much, Jamie. Well,
You're
you are the
welcome.
best. Thank you all so much for listening to the Creative Impact Podcast. The music for the show was produced by Michael Cash. Until next time, remember that you were designed to create. You were made to inspire. Continue living with purpose and making an impact. I'll see you next time, friends.